Welcome everyone to Breakthrough Conversations. I am your host Danielle Perry, and I'm so glad you decided to join us today. This podcast is a podcast where I interview people of all ages, and I have them come on to just share a bit of their story of breakthrough with us, how God helped them to overcome different challenges and situations in their life. So again, thank you so much for joining today. And I have a wonderful guest on today. I have Miss Zemirah Blount. Hey, Zemirah.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good.
Affectionately known as Z. That's what I call you. So I'm so glad that I have you on today, Zemirah. When I even thought to do this podcast, I thought about you as one of my first guests because I want people to know that the youth have a voice. And I want people to hear just some of the challenges that, people your age face, whether it's in school, whether it's in family, whatever it is. I just want people to know that the youth have a voice as well. So I'm so glad that you made the decision to be on. I'm excited. So I have you on today to talk about your transition from middle school to high school. That is a huge transition.
Yes.
And I know because I was there. And I remember being an 8th grader, and then I remember being a freshman in high school, and it was completely different. So that's what we're going to talk about today. So before we jump into that, I want you to tell our audience a little bit about who you are.
Okay, my name is Natyra Blount, and I'm 14, but my birthday is in 5 days, so I'm about to be 15. And I go to Baltimore School for the Arts currently, and I'm passionate about acting. That's what I'm going there for, and singing, and recently started songwriting as well. My best friend is Kaya Blount. We're cousins. We write songs together as well sometimes.
Awesome, Z. That's cool. So let's go ahead and, well, first, happy early birthday.
Thank you.
But let's go ahead and jump into it. Describe how you felt when it was your first day of high school. Like, what were your emotions? What were your thoughts that first day of school?
The first day, I was much less nervous than I was months ago thinking about high school.
Mm-hmm.
So, I was relatively calm.
Okay.
I remember being excited and just praying on the ride there, and then I went in there and I was just trying to be myself and trying to be social, and it didn't take me long to feel comfortable.
Okay.
Because of the atmosphere.
Because of the atmosphere.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. So I remember my first day of high school. Everyone looked so big, and everyone looked so much older than me. Like the guys had facial hair. Like it was just crazy. Did you experience any of that? Not maybe your first day, but maybe your first couple days or first week at school.
Well, kind of, because I don't know, like everybody at my school, especially, like there are a lot of styles, and it's very cool to see. And I was just like, I don't really have like a specific style. It's just kind of like what I wear. But also no, because I felt like these were my people, and we were just kind of like laughing and joking and being kids. That was my perspective on the first day.
Okay, cool. So share with us some of your expectations and some of your assumptions about high school, like before entering into high school. Share with us some of those.
I thought that high school was going to make me change because of the unrealistic movies that I watched growing up about high school. I thought I was gonna like go to high school and become this rebellious kid, and that was like a big fear of mine. I really don't know why I let that. I don't even know why I entertained that, but I assumed that it was gonna be like crazy and like loud, and I don't know. But and I thought that there was going to be a lot of work, and going to an art school, I thought there was going to be like everybody walking through the halls just bursting into song all the time. Sometimes that happens, I'm going to be honest. But yeah, I just assumed those things about high school. It's really not all that.
Yeah.
So it feels just like regular school.
Okay. Okay. So, did you know anyone when you entered into the school? Did you know
Yeah.
anyone? Were they already attending, or were they entering as freshmen?
Most of them were entering as fresh.
As freshmen. Okay. So that's good. So you kind of knew, others that were entering the school with you. Were you close with them?
I had like classmates from like middle school. A lot of people from my middle school are going to BSA, but not really like friends. Like I didn't really hang out with them much, but we're cool. So that was good to have people that I already knew.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. When I went to high school, I think I knew one person who was a sophomore, and I mean, high school is big, so I didn't know when I was going to come across her. So I was a very new student. So that was good that you had people that you already knew entering in at the same time as you. So tell us about what was a major difference that you noticed early on, like high school, comparing high school to middle school.
I feel like honestly, sometimes I don't really see that much of a difference, but sometimes it is definitely there.
Okay.
Like conversations and people are older, so like the things that they do, like I didn't see that happen in middle school. And especially coming from being at home for a year, for my last year in middle school, it just felt like a lot at once. Just
Absolutely.
Like, wow,
yeah.
This is really like it's very loud. Especially at my school. Teachers mostly the same, but they do, most of them hold your hand a little less. And my acting teachers, like, they make it clear, like, you're mostly here to learn. And less, like, we assume, like, we're here to have fun, but mostly we're here to learn.
Mostly here to learn. Yeah.
So that was also a difference. And there's a 45-minute lunch. That was a big difference.
Compared to
like a 30-minute lunch.
Right, yeah.
And it's probably because we don't have recess either. So that was a difference. But also because it's just like one of the periods.
Yeah.
Instead of it just being like in the middle of your schedule, it's one of the periods.
It's one of the periods, yeah. Do you like the longer lunch?
It depends.
It depends.
Yes.
Sometimes it's like, I'd rather not be here.
Yeah.
Because it's more of a social environment too during
Yes.
lunch, right? So sometimes things get out of hand at times as far as people kind of acting wild or?
Not really out of hand. Sometimes it's funny though.
Okay.
Just to watch everybody else, you know. But yeah, sometimes I would have days where I was alone at lunch. Now it's getting better. Like I sit with somebody at lunch. But like when you're alone, it feels much longer. And I don't like being alone. Yeah. I've never liked the feeling.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're going to come back to that. Okay. I want you to tell us about your schoolwork. Tell us about the workload at school, and was there a drastic change from middle school to high school?
Honestly, if there was a change, it would probably be like it felt like more work in middle school. Because I came from an elementary school, and at my school, like the curriculum, like they didn't assign us homework every night. So when I got to Roland Park and it was all this work, I was like stressed out. But then by like 7th, 8th grade, I was kind of fine with it. So coming to BSA, I was pretty prepared. Okay. But sometimes it does feel like a lot. Like this week was definitely busy because I don't know, like what the teachers do. They just don't. Do they not communicate? Because I have like 5 projects that we are doing like right now.
Wow.
And it's a lot.
Yeah, that is a lot. Wow. So, but I do like what you said though. You were prepared once you got to high school because of the curriculum that you had before. So I mean that's a plus. But 5 projects, that's a lot. Absolutely. tell us how it's been, and we're going to maybe jump into what you were just saying about feeling alone at times. How has it been making friends at this school?
It's been kind of challenging. And going, like, I went to an elementary school for 7 years. So I had already had, like, the same people every year. So I just kind of knew everybody, and it wasn't that hard. And then when I was going to middle school, I remember asking Kaya, I was like, do you find it hard to make friends? And she was like, no. And in my mind, I was like, I do, because I never had to do it before. So going to middle school, it was kind of hard, but now it's definitely harder, because going to middle school, I had somebody that I was tight with. But going here, like, they were acquaintances. So that's how I feel like most of my relationships right now are. Acquaintances. And I have made, like, friendships. And it's still, like, because I feel like God taught me a lot about friends. I used to use the word very loosely. Anybody that I, like, could have a conversation with or could have a laugh with, I would be like, oh, yeah, that's my friend. Yeah, that's my friend. And I had to realize, like, not everybody's your friend.
Yeah.
And, yeah. So I feel like sometimes I'm a little too guarded, like, too focused on having the right friends, that I'm not being open enough sometimes. But also, you can't be too open, or you might get into a relationship that you'll regret.
Absolutely.
And that's not what I want. So I'm just trying to go where God leads me, and God has led me to these people that I can call my friends, and I'm just praying about it. And I believe that God showed me over the quarantine, like, this time is going to be different. Like, say goodbye to the past. The past is over. I'm going to take you into something new. So I'm just trying to trust that.
Awesome. That's awesome, Zemirah. And I think, sometimes when we hear that God is taking us into something new, we think everything is going to be great right away, but sometimes it's a process. And sometimes we have to be patient, and it may not come as soon as we think, whatever that new thing is. Or the new could be, we might have to be alone for a little bit, but that's a part of the new that God has us in, So share with us some things that you love about your school.
Some things I love about my school are that everybody has an art, and you can, like, really see it. Like, everybody in my school, like, they're so talented. And not like I haven't, like, gone to school with people who are talented. It's just, like, it's much more on display, and I like that. I like having people who, like, can relate to me, who are passionate about an art, and it's really cool. Like, there are a lot of different types of arts. Some arts that I had never even, like heard of before. So it's really cool. I like that. And I like all the style, all the things that people wear. It's been really cool to see, like, oh, that looks really cool. So I'm just, like, trying new things. I like that. I mean, there's drama in high school, but I just felt like it's less than, like, the drama that I saw in my middle school, and that could just be because I'm staying away from it. But yeah, one of the things I liked coming to this school was, like, the atmosphere. I just felt like everybody's so, like, nice and approachable, and I, like, not everybody, but yeah, I feel like people are very approachable.
Cool. Do you have any favorite teachers?
Yes.
Okay.
One.
You just one.
Well,
she made that known.
Okay, two.
Okay. And you don't have to say their names, but what do they teach?
My favorite teacher teaches American government, and my second favorite teacher, her class is, like, a movement type class, and we do what could be called Zumba, but we do, like, dances and stuff. It's fun. Okay. So.
Cool. Good stuff. So now that you're more settled, into your freshman year, actually you only have a few months before summer break, right? Yeah. So now that you're a little bit more settled, how do you feel about high school? Was it what you expected it to be?
No.
No?
No.
Okay.
Not really.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I feel like, okay, this is cool. This is good.
Mm-hmm.
I feel good here. I like it here.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I feel like this is not it, and I want to go home, and this is annoying, and it just depends on the day sometimes. And sometimes I can get really in my feelings, really discouraged about something.
Yeah.
And then if I let it, it can like ruin like how I feel the rest of the day. And it can be hard sometimes, like being yourself and, you know, knowing that you deal with things. But then you also have to realize, like, these are teenagers. Everybody here has something that they deal with, whether they show it, whether they say it or not. And you have to realize that you're not the only one who's going through right now. So.
That's good. That's a mature place to be in, Zemirah. It really is. A lot of youth your age don't think like that. That's really mature of you. And so, talk about being a Christian in school. What is that like?
It can be challenging. It can be challenging, not really because I feel like people are pressuring me to do things that I shouldn't, but more because it feels like, it's probably not true, but it feels like everybody else is doing something different. And sometimes it feels like, this isn't true, but sometimes it feels like I'm in a box and there are like so many things I can't do, so many things I can't wear, so many things I can't say, and everybody else is saying it, and everybody else is like doing these things, and I'm like, why am I so different? Why do I have to, you know? But at the end of the day, it's worth it. And I have to realize, like, this is what I believe, and it's for the best.
Yeah.
And I don't think that it's just for the best for me either.
Okay.
God also showed me over the quarantine that he's going to use me and he's going to touch other people. So I can't get into my feelings so much where I'm trying to be like everybody else. Like, I literally can't do that. I can't be like everybody else. Because that could take away from what somebody else could experience. It could, like, I could be going way off track and not being who I am, and not being, like, walking according to the purpose that I have. I feel like I have a purpose here. So I feel like it's for a reason, but sometimes it can definitely be hard.
Yeah. Absolutely. I love what you just said, though. I'm just listening to you like, wow. Wow. Yeah, it can be hard. Just thinking back on my own life, I remember how difficult it was, and just having those offline conversations with you, I know that I did things that I knew I shouldn't have done. And I'm not saying that you maybe not have done things you shouldn't have done, but when I hear you talk, there's such a maturity in you that I'm like, yeah, I didn't have all of that at 14, you know. But let's talk about some of those temptations. Talk to us about, you know, how is it for you? Because there probably are moments where you're like, I kind of want to do that, but I know I shouldn't. So talk to us about, are there ever moments where you are tempted, and how is that for you, and how do you deal with it in the moment?
Not really moments, more like just life. Like, sometimes I'm tempted to just like fit in with everybody else. And it just seems like everybody else has all these great things in school because they can do the things that I don't do. Like, a lot of people I'm seeing, like, all these huge, like, friend groups, and it seems like really great. And sometimes I just feel like an outsider. And it can be tempting to be like, yeah, I wish I could listen to that music. I wish I could watch that TV show, but I know I can't. Even though I haven't asked my parents, I know I can't.
Yeah.
I wish I could wear that. It looks really cool. I wish I could say that, but I can't. So, yeah.
And when you say you can't, you're not only coming from the standpoint of because my parents say I shouldn't.
Yeah.
You're also coming from the standpoint of the convictions that God has given you, right? So talk to us about that. It's not my mom said I can't do that, so I'm not going to do it. I can't do this because I feel like God said I shouldn't do it.
Yeah.
Explain that.
So, as I'm getting older, I feel like it's less of my parents always saying no to me. Like, they never really had to have that conversation of you can't curse. They never said you can't curse. They never said you can't have a boy. Well.
Well, maybe with that one.
that one. But they never really say, like, no, you can't do this, no, you can't do that. It's more like, as I'm going with God, like, I know that I shouldn't do that because the Bible says I shouldn't do that. And sometimes I don't get it, but I feel like I should because that's being obedient. And yes, there are some things that my parents tell me I shouldn't do. And sometimes other kids say, like, oh, you're a goody two-shoes and you listen to everything your parents say, you gotta have freedom in life. But I feel like there's more freedom in obeying your parents because, like, I know that sounds like, no, it's not, that's wrong. But when you obey your parents, they trust you, and so they're not having to get your phone and scroll through it every night. And they're not having to, like, check with other people's parents to see if you're, like, acting a certain way at school. They can trust that you're doing what you're supposed to do. So I feel like I have more freedom.
Wow.
And sometimes it doesn't. Because, like, kids will be like, oh my gosh, this TV show is so good. Like, one of the big TV shows now is Euphoria.
Okay.
And I didn't ask my parents if I could watch that show because I already knew, like, I didn't really want to watch that show because there's, like, just things that I probably shouldn't see, like nudity and things like that. And I just, sometimes I'm like, I don't know. I can't really explain some things. But some things I just know I shouldn't do.
Yeah,
So.
Absolutely. What are some of the activities that you see your peers doing that are just in your atmosphere, at school? Talk to us about some of those things that you see that are not good, and then we're going to get to the ones that are, that are good. But talk to us about some of those things that you're like, man, like, I know this is what, some of my peers engage in, but it's just not cool. Talk to us about some of those things.
There's a lot of cursing at my school. Well, at any school. But things that people watch, whether that be through social media or TV shows and movies or, pornography. Just some things people just listen to and expose themselves to, then I'm just like, I mean, I don't judge people. I feel like that's wrong.
Yeah.
It's wrong to judge people. But I just know, like, that's not where I am supposed to be.
Yeah.
And I don't, like, go up to people and say, hey, that's wrong, you shouldn't do that because the Bible's, like, that's going to drive people away. I don't get...
Yeah.
That's gonna make people be more inclined to keep doing what they're doing and not do what you do.
Yeah.
So when I just see those things, I just pray for them, and I pray that God would help me not to give in to temptation to do those things sometimes.
Yeah, that's good. Do you ever find yourself in a situation, or have you ever found yourself in a situation where you had to speak up?
Yes.
Yeah.
When it's directly impacting me, like if it's like somebody texting me and something gets sent that is inappropriate, it sometimes it really sucks to be that person, because you're like
That's real.
you're like you feel like the party pooper or whatever, and it's just like annoying to have to say it. But sometimes you have to say, hey, like, can you please not send that? Like,
Absolutely.
that made me uncomfortable. I don't want that on my phone. I don't want my parents to find that on my phone. I'm gonna delete it, but please don't send that in the future. And so I've learned that you're not the only one feeling that way. Because when I would say something, other people would be after I said it, would be like, yeah, I agree, or yeah, you know what, that's true, or yeah, I'm sorry, I get it. So,
yeah. Talk to us about some of the good things that you see your peers engage in. You know, what are some of the activities, maybe even conversations that you hear or that you're a part of that you're like, yeah, this is cool.
In some of my acting classes, we take some time to like really talk out our feelings and create a safe space in our ensemble, and us like sharing like things that are hard to visit and say. I think that that's cool. I think that we should have opportunities in school to talk about things other than math and science.
Absolutely.
Because
yeah,
we're dealing with things.
oh
And
yeah,
it's cool to know that somebody else may be dealing with it too.
yeah,
And some other things, I like how people are approachable, like I said earlier. And I like how they normally say sorry if they bump into somebody in the hall instead of just keep walking. And I like how people give each other compliments. Like, there are lots of different styles. People aren't afraid to say, hey, I like your shoes, I like your outfit. And yeah.
Cool. That's definitely key what you said about it's good that you talk about things other than just math and science. When I was a freshman, my English teacher, Mr. Best, one of my favorite teachers, he allowed us to vent in his class. Like, we would write poetry about some of the things that we were going through, or we just share from our hearts some of the things that we were dealing with. And he allowed us to do that in class. And I always remember that about him. So I do think that's important that you have an outlet. I do. So what is your biggest challenge in high school?
Being different. Being different is the biggest challenge in high school right now.
And when you say being different, talk to us about that.
Like, being a Christian and believing what I believe, doing the things I do and the things that I don't do, and not having social media is kind of tough. The way I talk, or just I can, like, it's evident that I'm different. Even if I don't say why, sometimes people can tell. And that can be a good thing, though. So.
Yeah, it definitely is a good thing. And I'm glad that even with the challenges that you're sharing, you always share the positive side of it. So that's awesome. So do you talk to your parents about the challenges that you face in school, the challenges that you face with peers, with teachers, schoolwork, all that stuff? Do you share those things with your parents?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes. I think that it's good to do that. And I have a few things to say about that.
Okay.
One, the other night, my family had this really, really good conversation. And this is the first time that I have ever seen any parent, like on TV or in real life, really talk to their kids about what they're dealing with. And that was really good. And we all had an opportunity to share. And I feel like we grew closer in that moment. And I realized, like, in that moment that I mostly talk to my mom about these things.
Okay.
And that can be because, yes, she's the only other female in my house that helps. And sometimes it's just You get to, sometimes it's just female things that you need to talk about. But I feel like I should also talk to my dad about these things and not let the only way my dad knows about these things is because my mom told him. I feel like I should talk to my dad about these things too. And sometimes I do, but I feel like I should do it more because it's good to have that relationship with your dad because some people don't get to.
Yeah, absolutely. That's awesome. And for those who don't know, you're the oldest of your siblings, and you have 2 brothers. And how old are your brothers?
They're 12 and 11.
12 and 11. I didn't realize they were that close. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. That's awesome. Those family discussions, man. Woo. I wonder how many families, actually sit down and have those honest talks, and everyone gets an opportunity to share. I mean, that may be rare, So that's a blessing that you all do that. Yeah. What is some advice that your parents give you, and how does it help you?
My parents have been telling me a lot that I'm not alone. And they've been telling me this because I feel like I'm alone sometimes. I feel like I'm the only one at my school who's like dealing with being different and being a Christian in 2022, and I'm not. I have friends who are going through the same thing that I can talk to. I have my family who's going through the same thing. I have a whole church, and there's like other people that I don't even know. There's a whole army. Yeah. They've been telling me that. They've been telling me to keep focusing on God in this season. So that's good. They've been telling me to talk to my friends and meet up with them, the friends that I don't see at school. And I feel like I should do more of that. They've been telling me to just be myself.
Absolutely. Yeah. And how do you remain being yourself despite it all? How do you do that?
I realized sometimes it's hard to be yourself because what other people are doing and who other people are may seem sometimes in your head better than what you are. So you try to be like them, you try to talk like them. But I'll realize later, like, it didn't feel natural. Yeah. And what helps me to keep being myself is to remember, like, to keep my mind on God. Yeah. And to keep my mind on the fact that He's placed me here for a purpose, and I can't accomplish that purpose if I'm trying to be somebody else.
That's right. Yeah, absolutely. What are your prayers like when you're praying for school, when you're praying for your teachers, your classmates? Talk to us about what kind of prayers you have to God.
I've been asking God to just reveal things to me. I've been asking more questions, like in Unplugged, you've been telling us to ask questions, and I had never done that before, so I've been asking questions. I've been asking God to heal people, to deliver people from the things that they have been dealing with, and to let them know that they are loved, to let them know that they're not alone. And I've been asking God to help me to be myself, help me to walk according to the purpose that He has for me. And I've been asking Him to help me in those moments that I feel insecure, to just remember the truth.
Yeah, that's good. And you mentioned earlier that God gives you certain things to do, or he kind of directs you, right, as you're going about being in school. So how do you hear God? I love asking this question to youth that say they hear God. How do you hear God at 14, about to be 15? What does His voice sound like to you? How do you know that it's God speaking to you? Talk to us about that.
I feel like a lot of times I feel like I'm not hearing from God, and I feel like I don't know His voice. I don't know the difference between, is this my voice? Is this His voice? Is this somebody else's voice? And sometimes I used to get really confused with that. But after I'm finished, like, praying and bringing the things that I have on my heart to God, after that, I always ask God, is there anything that you would like to say to me? And I just ask him to quiet the noise, and I surrender in that moment. And sometimes I feel like I don't hear, but sometimes I do. Sometimes it sounds like a whisper. And sometimes he'll repeat the same thing every time I ask him. And sometimes it's him just putting something on my heart. Sometimes, like, a thought will pop into my head and I'll be like, okay. And you can know that it's God if it matches up with a scripture, or if it matches up with what he's been saying to you lately. And sometimes it's through dreams. Like, I had a lot of dreams during the quarantine that are helping me now. And that I can see coming true now. Definitely speaks in dreams, and I write all of them down. Like, I write down the ones that seem important. And I don't know how, but, well, I know the ones that seem important by the ones that I remember the most. And if I forget a dream, I'll be like, maybe that wasn't. But the ones that I remember the most, I feel like that's definitely God speaking to me. But sometimes they can also just be things that are on your heart, so you need to know the difference between what you've been thinking about and what you're fearing, and then them coming out in your dreams as bad dreams, and what God is saying to you. Because I got confused about that in a moment.
Yeah, that's good. I think it's good for others your age to hear how God speaks to you, so that they can know, oh, okay, I can look for God to speak to me in those ways too. And he speaks to us in different ways, but the ways that you stated are definitely ways that he speaks to us.
And I also remember that God is always speaking. It's not just those moments that I ask him to. And it's not always like this deep, like his spirit showing up as an angel, or this amazing strong whisper that you hear. Like, sometimes it can just be like this gut feeling, or sometimes it can be like a verse, or sometimes it could be through another person. So.
Yeah, you're right. You on it, Z. You on it. What have you learned the most about yourself thus far?
One thing I've learned about myself that God has been showing me is that I rely too much on other people. Like, I rely too much on other people liking me. And other people, like, I feel like somebody likes me when, you know, they talk to me and they can laugh with me. And I rely too much on that. Because you can't rely on other people all the time. And sometimes there will be people who don't like you, and I just don't like that feeling at all. But I can't allow my whole life to be about pleasing other people, because that's exhausting. And I've lived it, and it's not fun.
It's not.
No, because you wasted all that time trying to please them, and you ended up in the wrong place. Like, how did I get here? So absolutely,
it's not fun. Like you said, it's exhausting, and it leaves you just empty. It leaves you empty. That's good. Tell us what you love about yourself. What are some qualities and characteristics that you like? I like that about myself. Share some of those with us.
I like that I spend time with God every day, because I used to not. And I like that I'm an approachable person, and I'm kind and I'm funny. I like that I write songs, even though sometimes I get insecure about the songs and feel like, oh, they're not good. I like that. And I like that I act and sing also. And I like that I spend time with my family at this age, because there are a lot of teenagers who, you know, don't get to spend time with their family, or feel like they can't, or are just going through rough places with their family, and I'm grateful that God has blessed me with a family that I can go to. So
That's good stuff. And you are funny. You're like low key, at least low key to me and Mr. Jared. Around your friends, you're probably different, but every now and then I'm like, Z is hilarious. And then you have these facial expressions that look so much like your mom. I'm like, that is hilarious. So yes. Tell us, what do you like to do for fun? Whether it's with your family or by yourself, just tell us a little bit about you. What do you like to do for fun?
I really like spending time with my cousin. Because I feel like we get each other and we like a lot of the same things. I like writing songs with her. I like to listen to music sometimes. That's fun. I really like watching TV. I don't know what it is, but that's probably why I like acting so much.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, absolutely.
I really like watching movies, but sometimes like it gets boring because like that can't be the only thing that you do all the time. Sometimes I really hate it, but I like the feeling of getting exercise.
Say it again. Feeling of
getting exercise.
Oh, okay.
Like after it's done, I feel really accomplished and I feel like good about myself. So I like physical activity. I like sports. This is more of a hobby, but I like basketball.
Yeah, you gotta like basketball. Yes.
What else? I like spending time with my family, watching TV with them or just talking with them. Yeah.
That's cool. I said you better like basketball because I absolutely love basketball. A lot of people don't believe me when I say I used to play growing up, but I loved it and I still love it. But that's awesome. You shared a lot of the same things that I liked growing up. Even now, I still enjoy music. I still love listening to it. Some music, not all, but I still enjoy listening to it. I enjoy making music, writing songs, and so we have a lot of similarities. And you remind me a lot of myself all the time. Just your personality, you just remind me a lot of myself. And I know your mom has said that too, but it's true. I definitely see a lot of myself in you. So yeah, that's awesome, Z. So we're wrapping up. I want you to share with our audience, what is some advice that you have for other people your age when it comes to going to high school, when it comes to being different, being a Christian in school, whatever you want to share from your heart, what is some advice that you have for them?
Don't be afraid to be yourself. And even when you are afraid to be yourself, keep being yourself, because you weren't placed here to be somebody else. You were placed here to be you. And who God has made you, that's who you're supposed to be, and He's gonna make you into the best you if you keep being yourself. So, be yourself. Don't give in to that temptation of wanting to be like everybody else, because even if it seems fun in the moment, it's not fun in the long run. You know. Don't keep all the bad feelings that you have, the good feelings that you have. Don't keep all of it to yourself. Don't be afraid to talk to people and to talk to God, because there was a season where I kept everything to myself. I pretended like I was good, but I really wasn't. And I thought talking to God is always enough, and asking for forgiveness for past mistakes that you made, but there's still that feeling of I'm still holding on to this and I need to let it go. So whether it's a friend or a family member or a trusted adult, you should talk to somebody about these things that you're feeling, because holding them in makes it worse. Be careful of who you call your friend, please be careful of who you call your friend, because thinking somebody that because you definitely don't want to get caught up in a relationship that you'll regret later, because it's hard to let go of that relationship, and then you'll get caught up in doing things you're not supposed to do and living to please this person and feeling like you can't be yourself around that person. Like, that is not somebody that you should call a friend. And sometimes it takes a while to admit it, but not everybody's your friend. Don't be afraid to be different. Like, walking this walk, you're gonna be different, and it's gonna be hard, and I feel like being different, like, that'll never go away. As much as you want it to, like, it'll always be there, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. And just keep going. Don't give up, and focus on God in those hard seasons. So, yeah.
Awesome. Thanks, Z.
You're welcome.
For being on today. I definitely appreciate it. I know that your story is going to inspire others your age, and maybe even others who are older than you, because you shared some mature things today. So thank you for being on. I appreciate it.
Thank you for inviting me.
Absolutely. So thank you, everyone, for tuning in today to Breakthrough Conversations. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I hope that many of you out there have been encouraged by what Zemirah shared. And I just really hope that there are youth out there who can glean from this episode and take some of the wisdom that she shared and apply it to their lives. So yeah, just thank you. I hope you I hope you share. I hope you hit subscribe. I hope you leave in the comment section anything that you liked about this episode today, and anything that you'd like to see in future episodes. Just let me know, and hopefully I can bring someone on that can share a bit of what you may want to see. So thank you for tuning in. I hope you have a wonderful day. God bless.